Find the idea. QG6 plus works only if one defender is overloaded. What would you play? Now rewind. Janis Kliavinsh has white against Kliavinsh-Tal in LAT-ch. The point is not to memorize moves. In this episode, track the quiet mystery. The natural answer, the piece with too many jobs, and the square that proves the tactic was prepared. If a move does not change one of those things, we move quickly. If it does, we stop and turn it into a question you can use at the board. First quiet clue. This move earns its screen time by changing the open file before the forcing line appears. This is the first real clue. Now 5. Bxc3 plus is the next pressure test after 2. E6. Second forcing checkpoint. Counterplay pauses while we inspect the bishop route. Which diagonal lost protection? The previous checkpoint, 2. E6. Changed the defender map before 5. Bxc3 plus. 5. Bxc3 plus sets up the next question at 6. Bxc3. Pause here. What square became harder to defend after 5? Bxc3 plus? Third trade with a price tag. If the defender recaptures or ignores it, ask where the king can still breathe. The board is already drifting from 6. Bxc3 towards 7. Cxd5. Fourth visible prize, hidden access. After 7. Cxd5, the loose defender is easier to use. Look back one checkpoint. 6. Bxc3 made the position fragile enough for 7. Cxd5. Fifth defender count changes. A safe-looking position turns into a trap when the forced reply has no spare helper. That is why 8. Dxc5 is not just notation. It is a new problem created by 7. Nxd5. Sixth greed warning. The capture looks local, but it changes the pawn shield near the king. A quiet detail from 7. Nxd5 is still hanging in the air when 8. Dxc5 arrives. Seventh timing question. If the defender spends this move on survival, which square became a highway? 9. Qh4 plus sets up the next question at 11. Qc3 plus. Eighth check with a purpose. The king answers first, so the trade choice can decide the next move. After Qc3 plus, can the king and defender both stay useful? The board is already drifting from 11. Qc3 plus towards 16. Qxc3 plus. Ninth forcing checkpoint. Counterplay pauses while we inspect the entry point. Which defender cannot cover both threats? The previous checkpoint, 11. Qc3 plus. Changed the defender map before 16. Qxc3 plus. This is the bridge to 17. Kf2 where the defender has fewer choices. No fireworks yet, but the trap is getting organized around move 17. Watch the rook lift, where the heavy piece can swing next. That is why 17. Qxc5 plus is not just notation. It is a new problem created by 17. Kf2. 11th king safety audit. If the reply damages the minor piece net, the next tactic gets easier. Look back one checkpoint. 17. Kf2 made the position fragile enough for 17. Qxc5 plus. Now 26. H6 is the next pressure test after 17. Qxc5 plus. Pause here. What line open because 17. Qxc5 plus forced the issue? This is how initiative grows before the punchline. The move does not win immediately, but it changes the final corridor. 26. H6 sets up the next question at 27. Bf7 plus. 13th collapse warning. The check forces a reply while the open file stays weak. A quiet detail from 26. H6 is still hanging in the air when 27. Bf7 plus arrives. 14th greed warning. The capture looks local, but it changes the dark square cover near the king. This position already has stress in it. 27. Bf7 plus supplied the first part. 15th check with a purpose. The king answers first, so the back rank room can decide the next move. Qh7 plus spends a tempo for the king. Where does counterplay go? That is why 29. Kf8 is not just notation. It is a new problem created by 29. QH7 plus. 16th pressure move. It makes a later tactic believable by improving the overload or limiting a reply. The previous checkpoint, 29. QH7 plus. Changed the defender map before 29. KF8. Now 30. QXH6 plus is the next pressure test after 29. KF8. Pause here. Did 29. KF8 change material, tempo, or access first? 17th tempo hit. A quiet defense would be nice, but this check makes the tempo race urgent. Which defender cannot use its ideal square after QXH6 plus? 30. QXH6 plus sets up the next question at 30. KG8. The board gets less comfortable for the defender. The shelter crack is becoming harder to ignore after this move. Look back one checkpoint, 30. QXH6 plus made the position fragile enough for 30. KG8. 19th initiative in plain sight. The clue detail matters because the piece route still needs an answer. This is the bridge to 31. KF8 where the defender has fewer choices. Pause here. Which defender just picked up an extra job after 31? QG6 plus? A small improvement can be a big warning. If the opponent treats the recapture problem as harmless, the next forcing move lands harder. A quiet detail from 31. QG6 plus is still hanging in the air when 31. KF8 arrives. The lesson from Kliavinsh-Tal's hidden queen trap is concrete. The final tactic works because the earlier moves changed the defender map. In the My Chess Coach lesson, replay the quiet mystery positions, solve the puzzles, and name the clue before the payoff. The candidate move, the overloaded piece, or the square that changed. Then run the same checklist in your own game before you grab material or defend automatically. That turns this finish into a pattern you can recognize in real positions, not just a highlight you admire once.